observation tasks to and provide minimal supervision during the execution floor.
What do you think people think about agents that actually they get wrong?
Well, it's more like, I don't think any of us yet have an intuition for what this is going to be like. You know, we're all gesturing at something that seems important. Maybe I can give the following example. When people talk about an AI agent acting on their behalf, the main example they seem to give, fairly consistently, is, oh, you can ask the agent to go book you a restaurant reservation, and either it can use OpenTable or it can call the restaurant. Okay, sure, that's like a mildly annoying thing to have to do, and maybe saves you some work. One of the things that I think is interesting is a world where you can just do things that you wouldn't or couldn't do as a human. So what if instead of calling one restaurant to make a reservation, my agent would call me 300 and figure out which one had the best food for me or some special thing available or whatever. And then you would say, well, that's really annoying if your agent is calling 300 restaurants. But if it's an agent answering each of those 300 places, then no problem. And it can be this massive parallel thing that a human can't do. So that's a trivial example, but there are these limitations to human bandwidth that maybe these agents won't have. The category I think that was more interesting is not the one that people normally talk about, where you have this thing calling restaurants for you. But something that's more like a really smart senior coworker, where you can collaborate on a project with, and the agent can go do a 2-day task or 2-week task really well, and paying you at when it has questions, but come back to you with a great work product.
Does this fundamentally change the way that SaaS is priced? When you think about extraction of value bluntly, and normally it's on a per seat basis, but now you're actually replacing labor, so to speak. How do you think about the future of pricing with that in mind when you are such a core part of an enterprise workforce?
How will it price, or what it will do for people who are...
No, how will it price?
Oh.
We always have per seat pricing.
I'll speculate here for fun, but we really have no idea.
Sam, I'm a venture investor for a living, so we speculate for fun all the time. It's okay.
I can imagine a world where you could say, I want 1 GPU or 10 GPUs or 100 GPUs to just be churning on my problems all the time. And it's not you're not paying per seat or even per agent, but you're it's priced based off the amount of compute that's working on playing problems all the time.
Do we need to build specific models for agentic use, or do we not? How do you think about that?
There's a huge amount of infrastructure and scaffolding to build for sure, but I think O1 points the way to a model that is capable of doing great agentic tasks. I hate the word agentic, by the way. I'd love it if we could come up with a...
What would you like? This is your chance to coin a new word.
I don't know.
This could be a spoiler alert. That really is something.
I'll keep thinking when we're talking.
On the model side, Sam, everyone says that models are depreciating assets, the commoditization of models is so rife. How do you respond and think about that? And when you think about the increasing capital intensity to train models, are we actually seeing a reversion of that where it requires so much money that actually very few people can do it?
It's definitely true that they're depreciating assets. This thing that they're not, though, worth as much as they cost to train, that seems totally wrong. To say nothing of the fact that there's a positive compounding effect as you learn to train these models, you get better at training the next one. But the actual revenue we can make from the model, I think, justifies the investment. To be fair, I don't think that's true for everyone, and there are probably too many people training very similar models, and if you're a little behind, or if you don't have a product with the sort of multiple tools and things that make that product sticky and valuable, then yeah, maybe you can't. Maybe it's harder to get a return on the investment. We're very fortunate to have ChatGPT and hundreds of millions of people that use our models, and so even if it costs a lot, we can tell how much does that cost across a lot of people.
How do you think about how OpenAI models continue to differentiate over time, and where you most want to focus to expand that differentiation?
Reasoning is our current most important area of focus. I think this is what unlocks the next massive leap forward in value created. So we'll improve that in lots of ways. We will do multimodal work. We will do other features in the models that we think are super important to the ways that people want to use these things.
How do you think about reasoning in multimodal work like that? The challenges, what you want to achieve. Love to understand that.
Reasoning in multimodalities.
Yeah.
I hope it's just gonna work. I mean, it obviously takes some doing to get it done, but people, when they're babies and toddlers, before they're good at language, can still do quite complex visual reasoning. So good at this is possible.
Totally is. How will vision capabilities scale with new inference time paradigms set by O1?
Without spoiling anything, I would expect rapid progress in image-based models.
It's a bit of a carrot sound. Okay. Going off schedule is one thing, trying to tease that out might get me in real trouble. GPT's output is generally, I like this one a lot. Yeah, I don't think we are nearly British enough in a lot of GPT's output. GPT's output is generally American in spelling and tone. How do we think about internationalization with models, different cultures, different languages, and how important that is?
It's interesting. I don't use British English. I haven't tried, but I would have guessed that it's really good at doing British English. Is it not? Okay, well, we'll look at that. We can get you your essay.
There we go. How does OpenAI make breakthroughs in terms of core reasoning? Do we need to start pushing into reinforcement learning as a pathway, or other new techniques aside from the transformer?
There's two questions in there. There's how we do it, and then, there's everyone's favorite question, which is what comes beyond the transformer. How we do it is like our special sauce. It's easy. It's really easy to copy something you know works. And one of the reasons that people don't talk about why it's so easy is you have the conviction to know it's possible. And so after a research lab does something, even if you don't know exactly how they did it, it's, say, easy, but it's doable to go off and copy it. And you can see this in the replications of GPT-4, and I'm sure you'll see this in replications of O1. What is really hard, and the thing that I'm most proud of about our culture, is the repeated ability to go off and do something new and totally unproven. And a lot of organizations, not talking about AI research, just generally, a lot of organizations talk about the ability to do this. There are very few that do, across any field. And in some sense, I think this is one of the most important inputs to human progress. So one of the retirement things I fantasize about doing is writing a book of everything I've learned about how to build an organization and a culture that does this thing, not the organization that just copies what everybody else has done. Because I think this is something that the world could have a lot more of. It's limited by human talent, but there's a huge amount of wasted human talent because this is not an organization, style, or culture, whatever you want to call it, that we are good at building. So I'd love way more of that, and that is, I think, the thing most special about us.
So how is human talent wasted?
Oh, there's just a lot of really talented people in the world that are not working to their full potential because they work